And you guys are working on digital twin programs, you're integrating technologies. What is some of the vision with the digital twin program?
Get rid of the paper, digitize it, get rid of the data silos.
Where are you seeing some good traction, good use cases?
Let's go BIM on steroids. Operational efficiencies, reducing downtime, creating frictionless travel, definitely sustainability.
When you're innovating, you're going to run into issues. That's part of the process.
Curate that down to, well, what do I need to do my job?
All right, welcome to Reality Capture Network. We're excited to sit down and talk with Mr. Kelly Watt today. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Matt. Appreciate being here.
Here at the RCN booth at GeoWeek.
Yeah, it's a lot of excitement, lots going on, new technology. It's been fun so far.
All right.
The event last night was great. Thanks for hosting.
You're welcome. Thanks for joining us. Okay, so the goal of these conversations, we're doing kind of 15-minute deep dives with each person. So I'd love for you to start one and just introduce, who you are, what your role is, and what companies you work for.
Sure. So Kelly Watt, I'm a owner of a consulting practice called Digital Twin Consulting. We do work with a variety of businesses. In particular, one of our larger engagements is at DFW Airport. So I'm the program manager there, basically fully embedded, 5 days a week right now. We have another airport in Mexico City, and it's been a lot of fun. So a lot of strategy around digital twin deployment, large-scale digital twin deployment, multi-year, many different use cases. So it's a lot of, use case development and technical road mapping. Awesome.
Well, what is it that you're focused on right now? There's a lot of technologies out there. There's a lot of buzz. We're sitting in an exhibit hall full of tech and software. And what is your focus right now?
So two things I'm looking at right now that are really cool. We used the flyability on a demo project just recently in our underground tunnels that map from our central utility plant to our terminals. So as long as the data quality works well, we're looking to see if we can do something with that kind of data. Another thing that I'm looking at really carefully is the drone in the box. And I know we're in an airport, everyone will freak out about that, but there's so many opportunities, whether it be an integrity inspection for thermal on roofs, or whether it be security, perimeter detection and pursuits, or even airfield stuff. If we're in control, it's pretty fantastic. You can put a drone up in 30 seconds and do a planned flight. So that stuff's pretty interesting.
Those are awesome. What would you say some of your biggest challenges are right now with technology integration or implementation? Obviously, like you mentioned, you're almost full-time out at Dallas Airport, and you guys are working on digital twin programs, you're integrating technologies, you're trialing things. What are some of the challenges you're facing with the technologies you're integrating right now?
Yeah, I mean, less so maybe on the vendors in the point cloud laser scanning side, but the vendor lock on the IoT side is really difficult, and a lot of legacy equipment. So, really important to try to pick your projects where data will be available, data quality will be sufficient for the use case. So those things are ongoing challenges, especially with a large airport where we have different infrastructure straight across the airport. The other one is really procurement process. You felt the pain when you've done some work for us, right? It's a long, more complicated process than it needs to be. So trying to mitigate that's challenging.
Yeah, I bet. Can you explain for those who don't know? So how big is Dallas Airport, and what is some of the vision with the digital twin program? Looking into the future, what's the hope with that?
Well, often compared to Manhattan, DFW is larger, second largest airport in the world. So it's not just our terminal buildings, which we have 5, and a new terminal in construction, and a central utility plant, and a new electric plant in construction, but it also consists of all of the buildings on the property. We have Amazon, we have DHL, FedEx operations, huge operations in DFW, all of the warehousing, and then we have about 285 non-terminal buildings as well, including our DPS headquarters, our own police force, IOC headquarters, offices. So it's a big property. It's a city.
Yeah. So what is the goal with the digital twin program? Why is an airport? And I love talking through this a bit because there's a lot of people talking about digital twins, right?
Right.
And now you're looking at a large organization of trying to take this and turn it into a program and start using this data for something. What's the vision with the digital twin program?
I mean, it roots down into operational efficiencies, reducing downtimes, creating frictionless travel, better experience for guests, and then definitely sustainability. And you can't meet your sustainability goals if you don't have good data and can't understand your data. So be able to map out all of your systems, and also to be able to keep this data accurate? That's a real challenge, right? With all the construction projects, about 160 projects going on right now at the airport.
So, a little busy. That's great. So you talked recently about some of the drone stuff you're looking at. What other technologies are you exploring or kind of interested in or see in your path ahead?
Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting. Like, what is the twin? Is it a BIM focused digital twin? Is it a point cloud reality capture focused twin? Is it a gaming engine? And I think really it's all of those things depending on the use case.
Yeah.
So it's multiple twins. And I'm kind of getting my brain away from the fact that the 3D component is the twin, and more the data that is made available that can pipe into the visualization interface is really the heart of what a twin is, and have that made available to serve up to people as they want to consume it. Like, I want to consume it on my phone or at a workstation, or I'm in a command center, I want to see that big screen. Well, that's very different, right? And what types of information? You don't want everything because it's too much information. You really got to curate that down to, well, what do I need to do my job?
Yep. Yeah, no, that's great. What, when you look at things like immersive technologies or XR, do you guys have a vision of integrating those somehow in your work?
Yeah, I mean, we're doing some research right now, especially on like FAA related inspections. I think in particular with AR technology, there's really a lot of opportunity there. I love the RealWear headsets or other types of headsets which are not fully immersive, so you can actually be in the physical environment. It can be key to being hands-free.
Yeah.
Right, and be able to do a command. So find an inspection. Okay, record the video, create a work order, send it out. And to take a process that's typically manual, and what we're trying to do with transformation projects, get rid of the paper.
Yeah.
Get rid of the paper, digitize it, and then get rid of the data silos. So how do you quickly do that? And to get operators on board, it can't be more complicated. So it has to be easier. It has to be something that they see a benefit of using it, or they're not going to adopt it.
Yeah, that's great. What are some other things you would encourage people who are looking into digital twin programs? So you're helping run one at an airport.
Yeah.
I hear a lot of other organizations saying, okay, we're starting to see this vision. How do they get started?
Well, I think part of the problem is we look at our BIM program and we just say, let's go BIM on steroids.
Yeah.
And that doesn't always work, because we got to think a little beyond that to what is the value that we're trying to get. So really decide who's going to use it and how, and what is the best platform for them to use. So really understand these use cases. And we did an ROI study, and that was really critical. Start to think about, well, what are our costs? What are our cost avoidances that we want to avoid? What are our new revenue streams we want to be able to optimize, right? With parking revenue or retail revenues. So these things, when you start understanding that from a cost and complexity, then also looking at the business mission goals and starting to align those things, then pick the tools later, right? And we do it backwards. We have the tools. We're like, oh, I want to leverage the value from construction, and I want to do this, and that person's vision doesn't always match with the vision downstream.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. What could you share a success story? Your program is growing. You've done a couple different assets. You guys are piloting things. Where are you seeing some good traction or some good use cases?
I mean, there's lots of benefits that are coming out of the program, especially from a workforce improvement, right? So having baseline visualization as built in your hand, be able to look at the hierarchy of assets, upstream, downstream, and we have physical screens now, like installed in JLL's office in our central utility plant. So it's at their fingertips. It's there persistently available, and I think that's really critical, right? Is to be able to get in their hands. And we're hearing day by day different ways it's been used to create efficiencies. But we've also found failures, right?
Yeah.
And the failures are interesting because it allows us to say, okay, well, let's take a gut check. What do we have to change now? So something, for example, in the airport, there's a lot of open space. So, it's easy to search for a room and find an asset. Well, how do you find a valve on the ramp level? There's hundreds of them, right?
Yeah.
So we're really starting to rethink, well, how do we associate a gate? And how does that make sense? Do we associate gates to assets, secure side, non-secure side, hallways, terminals, check-in spaces? So these are words that we wouldn't normally use in other environments. Maybe we use them every day at the airport. So how do we bring that semantic understanding into the twins so that we can find things quickly? And partner with that is getting automated control, right? Because it's one thing to see it, understand a problem. How are you going to act, right? Notifications to your phone, getting it to the right people, who's on staff, all of those things, but then also having ability to remotely shut off a valve.
Yeah.
So it's hand in hand, right?
Yeah, that's great. Well, I appreciate you sharing some of what you're working on, some of the vision forward. What are some of the last things you'd want to leave with the audience that's going to listen to this?
Well, I'd just say, don't be afraid. There's tons of value, but just don't assume you're going to value until you've done the research, done the planning, understand the use case, understand the value. Once you have that, then it's easier, much easier. And once you have the requirements around your data, you don't want to pick the wrong project to start because it can really hurt your program.
Yeah, that's true. And I think the thing with all innovation, which is kind of what you're talking about, is not being afraid of failure too. Like, so many people want to get it right the first time. And it's like, you have to know that when you're innovating, you're using new technologies, you're going to run into issues. That's part of the process too.
Yeah, so fail fast, learn, pivot, but also be open to talk to others that are doing these programs and learn from the wisdom from others. Why should I fail from something that a partner that we know has failed from? Let's learn from that experience and then, bring that into your planning.
Yeah, absolutely. Collaboration. It's going to help the industry forward.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you again for joining us.
Appreciate it as always. Thanks, Matt.